One of my goals for the next 2 or 3 years is to really raise the bar on the standards of what a company provides to its employees. I think there's so much potential for companies to enrich the lives of their employees. In the past of like 50s or 60s, 70s, it's all about providing a good salary, having enough money to support your family, go on vacation, enjoy life a little bit. There's a purely financial relationship between the employer and the employee. It's changed recently where it's still important to give a good salary, but you also need to give people some creative freedom or help them to develop professionally, learn new skills, and eventually increase the amount they can receive or increase the amount of responsibility they receive after accomplishing various accomplishments. And I think that's the current state of companies, which is better than before. And I think a necessary change because people in the 50s and 60s are different than people in their 20s and 30s nowadays, where they want a little bit more out of life than just the basic safety needs, if you follow Maslow's hierarchy of needs. I think the next generation of companies, which I'm working on now, is to move up the ladder of Maslow's hierarchy of needs. But the biggest problem in reaching that is that managers, CEO, leaders, consultants are not at that level of personal actualization, so they can actually influence that higher level of needs to their corporate culture or to their company. They know about it intellectually. They have plans to implement it. But because of their limitations because of their emotional limitations, emotional awareness, self-love, it's hard for them to implement anything meaningful that would impact their employees to achieve that same level. You can't teach someone to reach a level higher than you. They would have to go and find a new teacher or join a different company with someone who's higher in the needs chart. Not higher in the needs chart, but higher level of actualization. And since I've achieved a high level of personal and self-awareness, self-love, clarity, centeredness, oneness, if that's the word that you understand best. And because I've reached this state, I think it's not that I think, I know I have the potential to raise the level of actualization, emotional awareness, confidence in oneself in other people. And it's something I've had quite a lot of success in. And back to the main theme of this video in raising the level of what companies contribute. Not purely financial to the employees, not purely economical to the customers. It's to help their employees achieve a higher level of self-actualization. For example, helping your employees overcome their fears. First, you identify it, get the person to test various things, come up with potential solutions, not forcing my will onto them, and observing and following with their growth, helping them overcome their fears. Obviously, you would continue helping them improve professionally, learning how to use a computer, present better, organize their thoughts better, work more quickly. But you'd help them overcome their fears, also improve their lives health-wise. So in my case, I'm starting to implement this rule where if you get sick more than 3 times a year, we're going to have to talk about health. Because 90%, 95% of the case, it's your lifestyle that's causing you to get sick. A rare breed of people get sick for DNA, or I guess for biological reasons. But unless you test this extensively, you can't use that excuse that it's my biology. The doctor told me this. That doesn't mean anything. The word doctor is very subjective. Your doctor may not know anything. And by not testing it out, your statement would have no validity. So in that case, getting them to reevaluate their diet, sleep routine, relaxation, come up with ways to improve it based on their own research, and help them improve their lives health-wise. And the next step would then be personal. These steps, it's not in a linear format because some people have more awareness than other things. Some people have great body awareness, but terrible mental awareness. Or not terrible, but low mental awareness. Or you might have very high mental awareness, but very low physical awareness. And to be a self-actualized person, my recommended way is to be an all-around person. There are people who have probably achieved enlightenment, but have very little deep physical connection with their body. It seems possible. Eckhart Tolle is one example. But I think for most people, the more achievable route is both mental and physical awareness. So that next step would be relationships. How are they interacting with their coworkers? Do they have, even asking, do you have any personal problems outside of work? What's the problem? How are you going to handle that? And following up with them. And helping them problem solve with relationships as opposed to gossiping, which is worthless. It just releases the energy, doesn't solve it. It's a very short-term solution and doesn't actually solve the problem. Or getting angry or holding it in all the time, not expressing their thoughts. Those are terrible ways of handling personal relationships. So, a manager, a leader, would help his employees with the physical, with the diet and health, relationships, fears. I forgot any other ones, if I mentioned any other ones. And by focusing on this area, you help to develop uber employees because they're not sick as often, problem solve, and constantly involve themselves to greater and better things. And each employee who that's appropriate for leaves your company as a better, in the sense of they're becoming a complete person, more of a complete person as they leave your company. And you have made a fundamental contribution to their lives. So if you can create profit without cheating your customers, charging them ridiculous prices, helping your employees self-actualize. To me, that is the greatest contribution you can make as an entrepreneur. Screw the guy who made $1 million, $3 million at the expense of other people, and raise up the guy who made profit, is living comfortably because he deserved it, gave value, fair exchange with the customer, and raised the level of completeness in their employees. There's nothing in the entrepreneurial world that's more beautiful than that. But unfortunately, most entrepreneurs are not self-actualized. So it'll take people like you and me to raise the bar of the responsibilities of a company. The problem that I see with this in the US and what I love about Japan, Japan doesn't have all these PC rules about what you can talk about, what you can't talk about. Obviously, you can't sexually harass your employees, but you will not get sued for questioning people on their health and diet habits, the way they handle relationships. Because in the US, these are taboo topics in the office, things you can't breach. But unfortunately, they affect your business. An unhealthy employee calls in sick, negatively affects other coworkers and the customer. An emotionally unaware employee destroys cohesion, trust. And I think although American companies are pretty damn cool with free food and stuff like that, I think they use stuff like that to make up for what they cannot do because the managers and leaders are not self-actualized people. So they have to use their money because they don't have the personality and emotional awareness to do it. And I think that's a real big pity in the US, that there's all these form of acceptance, like fat acceptance, which is another topic, which is very unhealthy, coming from a person who used to be overweight and obese, and how losing weight was one of the first catalysts to take me on a journey to self-actualization. Yeah, I find it really disappointing in that the US, because of PC, you actually harm people in the long term to protect them from their insecurities. So for those of you who are in a country where you have the potential to change people's lives and is not short-sighted like the US, I hope this video inspires you to raise the contribution that companies make to the next level. Because we're aiming really low right now, and it takes awesome people like you and me to take it to the next level.